Good afternoon. It's the 26th of September 2022. Welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1 for the News First team, where the people come first. I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines.
The acting defence minister says there is no suppression against peaceful protest. All protests must obtain permission 6 hours ahead.
පැය 6කට කලින් ඕනෑම විරෝධතාවයක් පිළිබඳව පොලිසියට දැනුම් දීමක් කරලා අවසරයක් ලබා ගත්තොත් කිසිම ගැටලුවක් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නොවන බව අපි වගකීමෙන් මේ වෙලාවේ මතක් කරනවා.
President travels to Japan. 5 acting ministers appointed. Look into the Triposha issue. Professor Harini writes to the Ministry of Health. 2 billion Indian rupee fraud case. Bollywood actress Jacqueline granted bail.
On to those stories in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe left the island on early Monday morning on an official visit to Japan and the Philippines.
During his 2-day official visit to Japan, President will participate in the funeral ceremony of the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, and will hold bilateral discussions with the Japanese Prime Minister, Foreign Minister and Finance Minister during this tour. Thereafter, President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to leave for the Philippines to preside over the meeting of the governors of the Asian Development Bank. During his visit to the Philippines, President Wickremesinghe will hold discussions with the President of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos, and the President of the Asian Development Bank. The President is scheduled to return to the island upon completion of his official tour on the 30th of September.
During President Ranil Wickremesinghe's official overseas tour, the state ministers of the ministries under the purview of the President were appointed as acting ministers to oversee their operations.
State Minister Pramiti Bandara has been appointed as the Acting Defence Minister, State Minister Srihan Semasinghe as the Acting Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilisation and National Policies, State Minister Anupa Pascual has been appointed as the Acting Minister of Women, Child Affairs and Social Empowerment, State Minister Kanaka Herath as the Acting Minister of Technology, State Minister Dilum Amunugama as the Acting Minister of Investment Promotion.
United States permanent representative to the UN agencies in Rome met with the President on Sunday.
Ambassador Cindy Hensley McCain, the United States permanent representative to the UN agencies in Rome, met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Sunday and had a productive discussion. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung also joined the meeting. Discussions were carried out considering the ongoing economic hardships on Sri Lankans, as well as exploring many ways the United States of America and Sri Lanka are working together to meet urgent humanitarian needs. United States permanent representative to the UN Food and Agriculture agencies in Rome, Ambassador Cindy McCain will remain in Sri Lanka until the 28th of September to highlight US food assistance programs in Sri Lanka and reinforce the US commitment and lasting partnership with the island nation. Speaking at a rally organised by the National People's Power in Panagoda yesterday, Kedi Lal Khanda expressed the following views.
Allow the people to select a team that can rule the country without corruption, wastage and theft. But you must remember that they are not willing to let go. They will not dissolve parliament tomorrow. They will not do so in 2.5 years. Remember, if this continues, they will not let go even after 3 years. We don't think that they will hold an election even after 3 years. This is because they are thieves. They never let go. They must be sent home. There is no other solution. The Aragalaya is the only trustworthy method by which they can be sent home. A peaceful, democratic struggle. In more local news, Aragalaya activist Piyat Nikeshala was summoned to the Fort Police today.
Piyat Nikeshala was summoned to the Fort Police in relation to the investigations regarding a protest that was carried out opposite the Fort Railway Station on the 15th of September.
You can't stop us by simply declaring high security zones all around Colombo. Take a look at social media. The youth are migrating overseas every single day. This is our country. We are out on the streets because we are unable to put 3 meals on the table. We are taking to the streets because the rulers are not doing anything about this. It's not just us. The entire country will take to the streets in the near future. Taking a look at a story that made headlines this afternoon, Sri Lanka's acting Minister of Defence, Pramita Bandarathenakone, has stressed that 6-hour prior approval is required to engage in protests or demonstrations.
රට තුල කැළමිලි සහගත තත්වයක් නිර්මාණය කිරීමට ජන ජීවිතයට බාධා කරන එවැනි
The security forces have acted in a manner to legally crack down on protests, marches and demonstration that paved the way to create turmoil in the country and cause disruptions to the public activities. They will continue to do so in the future. The government will guarantee the rights to protest and dissent. However, no protest, demonstration or march should disrupt public life and the economy. If a protest or demonstration is to take place, it must comply with the law and the security forces must be informed ahead, subject to prior approval. All protests taking place at present are not complying with the said law. The Sri Lanka police can be informed about any protest or demonstration 6 hours prior to the commencement. There will be no issue when permission is obtained in the said manner. No party will be given permission under the circumstances to act in an irresponsible manner that violate the laws for public peace in the country. The government will act responsibly on the matter. If not, the previous state of anarchy will emerge in the country once again. It would lead to the destruction of public and private property and also the loss of life. We cannot allow such a situation to take place in the country once again. Therefore, all illegal efforts taken by various groups will be met with legally. The President declared high security zones to establish national security that is aspired by the people. The general public can continue to operate as usual in those designated areas. However, the issue will be for those who engage in unlawful acts. The President will review the situation and make a decision on whether or not there will be amendments.
එතුමා තීන්දුවක් ගන්නවා ඇති කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා. ඒ වගේම එතුමා අපිට ඒ පිළිබඳව දැනුවත් කරලා තියෙනවා.
මේ මහා විශාල කොළඹ නගර.
Only a few areas have been declared as high security zones in the Colombo city, which is a large area.
නිවේදනයක් මගින් අධි ආරක්ෂිත කලාප විදියට නම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
ලේකම්තුමනේ දැන් උද්ඝෝෂණය කරන්න වෙනම ස්ථානයක් වෙන් කරලා දුන්නා. නමුත් මේ උද්ඝෝෂණ කරන ස්ථානේ දැන් පිටලා තියෙන්නේ අධි ආරක්ෂිත කලාපේ. එතකොට හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ වෙන් කරලා දීපු ස්ථානේ දැන් අලංගු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
ප්‍රායෝගික වශයෙන් මහත්මයා මේ දිහා බැලුවාම
We have understood that the agitation site was declared in the wrong place. Many accommodation sites used by foreign envoys are located in this particular area as well. There is no issue for anyone to enter Golface Green for leisure.
උද්‍යානය එතනට පැමිණීමේ එතන හැසිරීමේ සහ එතන විවේකීව ගත කිරීමේ කිසිම බාධාවක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
හැබැයි ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්තුමනේ ඔබතුමාම තමයි මේ ජූලි 9 වෙනිදාට කලින් හිටපු ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්තුමත් ඔබතුමා. එතකොට මේ ජූලි 9 වෙනිදාට කලින් ඇයි මේ නීතිය මේ වගේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරලා මේ සිදුවෙච්ච ඝාතන පහර දීම් ගිනි තැබීම් නවත්තන්න නොහැකුනේ ඇයි?
එදා එකපාරට ඇතිවෙච්ච
An isolated incident spread across the country, leading to mass incidents of arson and attacks. It was unexpected and there was a setback. On the 10th of July, by evening, we managed to control the situation. You would have witnessed the resistance Sri Lanka police had to face in enforcing the law. Sri Lanka police is now enforcing the law to the letter by addressing any form of setback.
ඒ පසුබෑමක් ඇති වෙලා තිබුණේ. නමුත් ඒ සියල්ලම නිවැරදි කරගෙන දැන් පොලිසිය ඒ අයගේ රාජකාරිය අකුරටම ඉෂ්ට කරනවා රටේ පවතින නීති රාමුව තුල.
In more news related to the struggle, several Aragale activists were summoned to the CID on Monday. Aragale activists Sakun De Silva and Dilshan Prabhashwara were summoned to the Criminal Investigations Department on Monday. We were informed to report to the CID to make a note regarding the Prime Minister's office. Since we have not committed any wrong, since we are in the Aragale, we are summoned for everything. Convening a media briefing, the Intellectual Struggle Organization said the people are ready for an intellectual Aragale against suppression. This ruthless political authority who bankrupted this country must be brought to their knees before the people. This country was in a better state. These opportunistic politicians ruined it. They brought the people to hunger. This struggle represents the children's hunger and the helplessness of the people. Do not try to suppress that struggle and set up barricades around the president's palace. Stop suppression if you ever want to come to the village. We all must unite without using violence. The intellectual Aragalaya is ready to clash with your cunning methods. National People's Power parliamentarian Dr. Harini Amarasuriya submitted a letter to the Ministry of Health today demanding the ministry to provide a way forward for the Triposha issue.
National People's Power parliamentarian Harini Amarasuriya visited the Ministry of Health with a group of mothers. Triposha has become children's primary meal for the day, as their parents are now unable to provide them 3 meals a day, test them in laboratories and submit accurate information. The ministry is denying all claims, evading the issue. He cannot do that. He is playing with the lives of our children. We will not allow this. It is reported every day that kids faint in school. Parents are unable to give their children an egg. These are priorities. They have money to build towers and not this. This is an utter joke. We suspect they are trying to remove Triposha from the market, pursuing an ulterior motive.
පිට ලොකු සැකයක් තියෙනවා මේ ත්‍රිපෝෂ පිළිබඳ මේ ඇති වෙලා තියෙන මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙත් එක්ක ත්‍රිපෝෂත් වෙළඳ පොලෙන් අයින් කළ වෙන මොනවා හරි උඩර වැට්ටියක් කරන්නද මේ ආණ්ඩුව හදන්නේ කියලා.
In international news, far-right leader Giorgia Meloni has claimed victory in Italy's election and is set on course to become the country's first female prime minister. Meloni's right-wing alliance, which also includes Matteo Salvini's far-right League and former Prime Minister Silvio's centre-right Forza Italia, now looks to have control of both houses with a projected 42.2% of the Senate vote. She is predicted to win between 22 to 26% of the vote, ahead of her closest rival Enrico Letta from the centre-left. However, Meloni is expected to form Italy's most far-wing government since World War II. This will alarm much of Europe, as Italy is the EU's third biggest economy. As it was mentioned in the headlines, actress Jacqueline Fernandez was granted interim bail in connection with the 2 billion Indian rupee extortion case linked to alleged conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar.
The Indian Enforcement Directorate filed a supplementary charge sheet before the Prevention of Money Laundering Act court, naming her as an accused. The actor was summoned twice for questioning by Delhi police for her alleged role in the case. She has been accused for accepting gifts worth millions from Sukesh at a time when he was in Tihar jail and was being investigated for money laundering. Last week, Fernandez's stylist Leepakshi Elwadi was questioned by the Economic Offences Wing of the Delhi police for nearly 8 hours in connection with the case. During questioning, Leepakshi admitted that she knew about the relationship shared by Jacqueline Fernandez and Sukesh Chandrasekhar. Investigation had revealed that Chandrasekhar had on his birthday offered a motorcycle to Fernandez's agent Prashant, but he declined to take it. Chandrasekhar, who is currently in jail here, is accused for cheating many people, including high-profile individuals such as former Fortis healthcare promoter Shivendra Mohan Singh's wife Aditi Singh.
Pakistan's Finance Minister Miftah Ismail has said he will formally resign from the role amid an economic crisis exacerbated by the recent devastating floods. Ismail said in a tweet yesterday that he has verbally resigned as finance minister, adding that he had signalled his plans to the country's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif during a meeting. He becomes the 5th finance minister to resign in less than 4 years. He is set to tender a formal resignation upon reaching Pakistan. Ismail and Prime Minister Sharif are currently in London and due to return to Pakistan early next week. Pakistan's economy has witnessed persistent turbulence, while its current account deficit has widened starkly and rising inflation has put pressure on both families and businesses. This month's devastating floods added to the crisis, as they caused damage estimated at $30 billion and killed more than 1,500 people. The World Bank said on Saturday that it will provide about $2 billion in aid to Pakistan. In some news from Russia, hundreds of people have been arrested by authorities as protests against the country's new partial mobilization continue across the country. Widespread demonstrations have broken out since President Vladimir Putin announced plans to draft 300,000 men to fight in Ukraine. Unsanctioned rallies are banned under Russian law. Putin's move to draft civilians into the military has sparked large-scale protests in urban areas, with more than 1,000 people being detained at demonstrations earlier this week, with 724 people being detained across 32 different cities on Saturday. Some of those arrested on Saturday reported being given their draft papers after being detained. The Kremlin defended the practice earlier this week, saying, quote-unquote, it isn't against the law. Moscow has also approved harsh new punishments for those accused of dereliction of duty once drafted. Taking a look back at some local news. Today marks the 63rd death anniversary of former Prime Minister SWRD Bandaranaike. An event was held near the Horogolla Bandaranaike statue in memory of the late Premier.
Members of the Bandaranaike family, including former President Chandrika Bandaranaike as well as Sunetha Bandaranaike, were seen near the Horogolla Bandaranaike statue. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, former Speaker Kedi Lal Khanda, Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amarasuriya, New Lanka Freedom Party leader Kumar Welgama, State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna, Member of Parliament Duminda Dissanayake, Member of Parliament Chandima Virakode, Jeevan Kumar Gunga and others were also present on this occasion. A memorial service was held at the BMICH as well. The event was organised to pay respect to the late Prime Minister. The event was chaired by former President Maithripala Sirisena. Dayasiri Jayasekara, Shan Vijay Lal, Tilanga Sumudipala and several others also attended the event. Late SWRD Bandaranaike's policies were well indicated in his approach towards the economy. That is the sort of approach we must take now. There is no point in talking about the current state of affairs. The whole country knows what's going on. Poverty led to starvation, and the food shortage and medicine shortage left the poor in dire straits. We are hoping to pursue the ways of the Bandaranaikes. That is our policy. We will form an alliance and establish a government that is accountable to the people.
නිසා අපිත් ඉදිරියේදී බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ වාම ප්‍රගතිශීලී දේශපාලන පක්ෂ ඒකරාශී කරගත් සම්දානයක් පෙරමුණක් හදලා මේ රටේ ජනතාවාදී ආණ්ඩුවක් හැදීමයි.
In more local news, the Citizens for Mother Lanka organization says that rulers don't seem to be finding answers for the woes of the people.
We sent the Rajapaksas home, but the current government doesn't seem to be caring about the woes of the people. There are 1.6 million government servants in the country. They say this is too much of a burden to the government. Who created this burden? Was it us? No, it was the politicians who ruled the country for 74 years. They're using their influence for personal gain. They promise people jobs in exchange for their support, and then the rest of the country must bear the cost. Every single state sector employee has a bank loan. They have no way of paying off these loans. Will banks give them more credit to fly overseas at a time like that? We must create an atmosphere where our state sector employees can seek foreign employment. We must use the dollars they send to fuel our economy.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. Of course, more details on these stories and much more, you can log on to our website, that is www.Newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, I've been Sanita Senanayake. Take care and stay safe.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන්, දත්ත වැඩියෙන්, සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ. News First YouTube channelය අදම සබස්ක්‍රයිබ් කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග